And we're live. A bit later than usual. Sorry, that's on me. I slept in a bit. But, whoop, it's a daisy, there we go. But needless to say, we are live as usual, live as normal, and good morning, good morning, good morning. And welcome to a somewhat, still a good morning for a walk, but very, very, shall we say, less sunny than it has been. Oh, good morning from Ben, good morning to you. Yes, we've got a lot less sun today. Oh, Catholic, hello to you. Was that Cathal? Good morning to you from Meath. Good morning to Mitch from Texas. Good morning to you. Oh, what's that? Hatoni. Good morning from Liverpool. Good morning. Mitch, you're the only person in your state who's vaccinated. Well, at least someone is. No. And yes, it has been some week in politics. Who? Well, we're definitely going to have to talk about Northern Ireland later on. And don't worry, I'll save that for later. But before we do jump into our main topics, I'm sorry if we have to keep on talking about Northern Ireland. But unfortunately, we have to keep on talking about Northern Ireland because, quite frankly, the Brexiteers just don't understand a single thing that's going on. And Frost's new, quote, command protocol, which we'll be going over in a bit, hence why I've called the stream, stop me if you've heard this one before, because that is going to be the big bust-up of the summer, ultimately. That is pretty much what we're going to be talking about very cleanly and very readily for at least the next couple of months. Of that I can assure you. So get ready to have a overdose of Northern Ireland. Oh, Chris, good morning. Thank you very much for the support there. How's the new PC? It's actually very, very wonderfully well. It's working out fantastic. So yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful, to be honest. It's so good when you get that new PC and you just turn it on and it just boots up straight away and you're like, oh, wonderful. Because the PC before I'd had for about 5 years and I bought it from the new one I bought from the same company. So we'll see how long this one lasts. But yes. Oh, good morning from Denmark. I didn't see your name there, but I saw good morning from Denmark. So good morning to you and good morning to everyone else who's joining us today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. But before we jump into, well, what I feel is like the repetition cycle of having to say the exact same thing over and over again about Northern Ireland, that you cannot have a border between the north of Ireland and the Republic explicitly because of the Good Friday Agreement / Belfast Agreement, depending, of course, where you're from. It's absolute madness of the highest degree. But Brexiteers can't even seem to accept that this whole problem is one of their creating. But I'm already gearing up for it. But before we get into that, some absolutely fantastic news, because we're talking about one Stephen Yaxley Lennon, aka Tommy Robinson. Because some of you might be aware, a couple of years ago now, in Huddersfield, there was a video that went viral of a young boy being attacked because, well, he was Syrian, essentially. It was a racially motivated attack. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that is essentially what Mr. Robinson then decided to put out to his millions of followers, that young boy used to go around like attacking girls and getting in fights, and that video apparently was just the innocent young white boy getting his revenge on it. It couldn't be further from the truth. And of course, what happened? Well, that young boy and his family decided to sue Tommy Robinson. And of course, or shall we say Stephen Yaxley Lennon, and of course that decision came in very, very recently. And how much did he get sued for? Well, he got sued for over 100 million. 100 million in damages. So now he has to pay out that amount of money to that young boy. But wait, you say, that's good news enough, but how can this possibly get better? There we go. But yeah, how can this possibly get any better? I mean, he's been sued for over 100, was it, I'm not 100 million, that's far too much. Was it 100,000? Yeah, because 100 million's a bit, yeah, I was going to say 100 million's a bit too much, yeah. It's 100,000, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so he got sued for over 100,000, and that's just in damages. But it gets better, because not only did they win that, they have also said that he now also has to pay for the cost of the trial and the boy's legal defence, which adds it up itself up to £500,000. So in total, Robinson, in doing that, has lost over £600,000. Like, good on him. Good on him for doing that. That's absolutely, quite frankly, fantastic news in what has essentially been quite a hectic week for politics. So, to be honest, will this be the end of him? Who knows? A couple of years ago, we made a video just about this very topic, about him being sued. And as someone has rightly said, not only did he, I think you might be right, he might have declared bankruptcy. I'm not 100% sure if he has. But at the time, what he did was he moved a lot of his assets from his name into his wife's name, so that essentially those couldn't be touched. So ultimately, while yes, he is going to have to pay a lot of that, I don't think he's going to end up paying it all. Will there be an appeal? I don't know. It's very likely that there will be appeal. Will he win it? Not really, when the judge has pretty much said outright that the video evidence in itself of him saying those things about the boy is pretty damning in itself. So overall, a little bit of brightness in a week of, shall we say, ridiculousness in this country. But as the title of today's stream is called, stop me if you've heard this one before, we're going to have to talk again about Northern Ireland. And as I've always said, this always comes back to the very simple fact that you cannot have a hard border between the north of Ireland and the Republic. And of course, rewind all the way back to 2016. And essentially, you will see not a single Leave candidate or post or literature even talk about Northern Ireland and essentially the troubles that this might even cause. And essentially what we had and what's really going on here is the complete abdication of responsibility. Oh my God, Mitch, welcome to the Pony Club. I've just seen that come up. Yes, welcome one and all to the Pony Club. I must tell people about that more often. But essentially, that's the YouTube memberships, where if you do, you get unique emojis that you can use. And like I say, now that Mitch has joined, I think that puts me at the threshold where I can now start to upload some more options. Ah yes, and Mitch has just posted some there. Like I say, at the moment, those are the only ones that I've got. I'm going to have to commission some more, so I'll get talking to my guy, and we'll get some more emojis commissioned, because I want some Jeff Taylor ones. I actually want some pony ones, and I don't know what else I want, but I want some more stuff. I want some more emojis, which will be fun. So it is the abdication, the complete abdication of any responsibility of these Brexiteers, especially the ERG and Boris Johnson. Because Theresa May, Theresa May was a bad prime minister in all respects, and there has been, I think, mostly by Conservatives, trying to rehabilitate her image. That tends to be the big one, the rehabilitation of her image, trying to cast her as a better prime minister when she really wasn't. But at least Theresa May understood the realities of the situation in Northern Ireland, because what we have is the exact two situations going on. The one that Theresa May used, which was with her Northern Ireland backstop, and then the one that we got today, which is essentially putting a border in the Irish Sea. And we'll talk about the backstop and about what that actually means. So what that means, and what it meant at the time, was that essentially the UK would still be in some way, shape or form in the single market and customs union. It would accept EU laws and rules around that, and that they would understand that we wouldn't be able to, shall we say, fully escape from, shall we say, the gravity of the EU. Hence why, again, the ERG and the hardcore Brexiteers always referred to it as BNO. That's Brexit in name only. And of course, using that and building on that momentum that they had from that, they essentially initiated a coup, knocked out pretty much every single moderate from the Conservative Parliamentary Party, and put Boris Johnson in charge, and essentially put forward their hard version of Brexit that essentially no one voted for. And that's the other big catch, is that not one of these fantasy Brexit scenarios that we are being currently trying to implement is not a single one that the Leave campaign actually campaigned for, which says a lot about, shall we say, the truthfulness of the Leave campaign. Which, of course, if you saw Dominic Cummings' interview, he basically fully admits to lying about the stuff that the Leave campaign said. He lied about the stuff on the bus, the 350 million extra a week for the NHS. He lied about Turkey joining the EU. Shock horror. But now had essentially 100% sovereignty, when in reality we had 100% sovereignty, but we just agreed with a lot of what the EU said about rules and regulations. And of course, the main goal of pretty much the ERG and the free market fundamentalists in the Conservative Party is that they want to completely and 100% eliminate any and all need so that they can essentially get rid of as much regulation as possible so that they can initiate their so-called free market paradise. Yes, ultra sovereignty plus. That's the package that they were going for. And because of their need to push for their version of like supreme sovereignty, they did not really understand the consequences of what they were doing, because they had to, if they want to get as far as possible from the European Union, then to the Brexiteers, throwing Northern Ireland under the bus is more than worth it. But they have this stupid idea that somehow they can take not only Northern Ireland with them, but Ireland as well. Because if you've been paying any attention to Twitter as well this week, while it hasn't trended, the account for what's called iExit or iExit which is what's being called the, islands version of leaving the European Union. Of course, that's not going to happen. Funded by, of course, many of the British Brexiteers. Thinking that they can somehow push Ireland out of the European Union as well. And somehow that will solve all their problems. Again, I can't believe that they're, again, trying to push that. But that is what they are trying to push. And it's, again, complete and absolute nonsense, because they cannot accept the consequences that their very own deal has imposed the situations of essentially where we are now. That their deal essentially leaves Northern Ireland in the customs union and single market, and they can't get around that as much as they would like to. Oh, hang on. Where can we hold it there for a second? There we go. Leave you there while I tie my shoes. So the big problem is that they can't escape it. As much as they would like to, they cannot escape. There we go. They cannot escape the EU. Hence why we get Frost's grand plan, which is just as stupid as you might suspect it is. So, Frost's grand plan, what he calls his command protocol, is that essentially we do away with that border. And instead what we do is we create a honor box system where companies, swearsies for real, will follow the rules and customs union rules for going into Northern Ireland. So essentially that we can get rid of any of these checks and balances that we have. So we're just going to make companies pinky promise the the situation away, and of course that's not going to work. Anyone anywhere will tell you just how laughable that entire situation is. But that is literally what our government is proposing, a 100% honour system. Yeah, we're gonna make them pinky promise. That's right. But anyway, oh look, you know what time it is. Ta-da! Because, like I say, I know why you're all here. Oh, good morning to the more people who've joined us instead. Good morning, good morning. Ian, I think that was, saying hello. Good morning to you. There's some more foals in the background if you can see them. There you go. Some more good morning falls. Some more, hot pony action for you. Because I know that's why you come. I know that's why you're here. But yeah, that's the bizarre state that we're in. We can't have this bizarre situation where we get this honour system, because as Dude just said a couple of moments ago, you could very easily order weed through Amsterdam. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that suddenly becomes a black market business. But essentially, what we've been warning for so long, since at least 2016, but really 2017, where these fantasy ideas about what to do about Northern Ireland first started coming in. And we always said that we get eventually a bizarre version of Northern Ireland becoming the world's first state-sanctioned smuggler's paradise, or smuggler state, I suppose would be the correct term. And we're almost there, And like I say, the idea of these plans going through is not going to happen, because first of all, the EU just aren't going to let it happen, and neither is Ireland. Like I say, as we saw from the EU's response, every single other EU country was in lockstep behind behind the rest of the EU, and what Markus Sovak said, that no, we're just going to reject this straight out of hand because it's absolutely nonsense what you are talking about. I mean, what also happens is that we essentially go back to square one of having to completely renegotiate the entire Brexit deal. Anyway, well, ta-da. See, this is the new thing now. Not only do you get ponies, but you get goats as well. And a little sheep over there as well. And I think somewhere in that stable there is another goat with a baby kid. But unfortunately they're in there. Yeah, who needs lawnmowers when you've got a goat? So, get one for his close-up. And of course the sheep in the background. I don't know if you can see the lambs just behind the sheep there. But they're there somewhere. I just can't I literally just cannot see through the... Although they might be out. I don't know. I suspect they're in here. You probably can't see them. Can we get around here? No. Oh, there they are. Oh, and there's the ghost. I'm trying to have a good hoof scratch there. I think, there you go. Right, I'll leave you to it then. So, and this is the true point of this all. We're so screwed. We are. And lots of people are pointing out we're just completely screwed, because at the moment, one of the big things the Brexiteers are desperate to try and do is this massive supposed trade deal with the US. And that, again, of course, that being one of the main reasons for Brexit. Oh, hang on. I've got some more. Got some more pony love. Oh, he's having a nibble at me. But essentially, the whole idea seems to be at the moment for the Brexiteers is that they can somehow get this fantastic, amazing trade deal through with the US, because that was one of the things that they talked about relentlessly throughout the referendum, that, oh wow, we can go and get this fantastic trade deal, and it's going to be, it's all going to be wonderful bells and whistles. And of course, that was when Trump was in charge, and Trump was like, yeah, sure, I'll do a fantastic deal for you, you know. I don't even know what that accent is. I'm sorry, Mitch. I know you're from Texas, but that was a terrible go in American accent. But of course, when Trump was in charge, Trump was very much all for doing this deals, because he didn't really care about the deal itself. He just cared about it as a, shall we say, a picture he could hang on his wall. And of course, if we are seen, now even that Biden's in charge, but even during Trump, if we had basically thrown Northern Ireland under the bus, or done as we had essentially now, threatening to invoke Article 16, which essentially would mean the complete and utter removal of all rules and regulations, it would put, shall we say, not only the Senate, but I think the Congress, or the House of Representatives, would never pass a trade deal like that. Would never pass a trade deal. And not only that, but if we do this, we actually go forward with this nonsense, this puts us in such a bad situation, such a bad situation, because no one else would ever trust the UK with any sort of deal ever again. We can forget about it. So it doesn't matter which way you go, because the UK ends up getting screwed either way. So, you know, where do we go from there? You know, there's nowhere we go from there. We end up in a constant state of either becoming this complete pariah state, which has decided that it is no longer going to trade, almost, but you know, they'll say that, oh, we want to trade with Europe. Then why don't we just join the single market customs union like the Leave campaign said? Even Nigel Farage was saying, oh, we could take the Norway option. What's so wrong, you know, with being like Norway? And of course, we end up in a merry-go-round situation. Where, especially for this government, where it is so desperate to try and prove that it is standing up for the UK, that it is determined just to pick fights with the EU for no other reason at all than it plays to the crowd back home. And I've said this before, but I don't think Frost and Boris are serious about this change. Because why on earth, about 2 weeks before, like, Parliament's meant to go into recess for the summer, why on earth would you then land, as Frost did on Wednesday, a pretty much monumental piece of legislation and decision before the House? Oh, thank you very much, Ian. Coffee, and it's not Article 16 they blather about. Should read Article 13 and 8, unilateral negotiating. It's not possible. Yeah. But that's what they're threatening. They're threatening Article 16, as Frost did on Wednesday during his speech to the House of Lords. And we are entering a very, very screwy situation there. You know, and even the EU turned around and said, no, we're not reopening the Brexit deal. Oh, g'day. G'day from down under. So most of this stuff is, it's well beyond the pale. Oh, you enjoy my videos? Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for the stream. Well, I stream every Saturday morning and Wednesday afternoon, so that is my streaming schedule, so to say. Like I say, UK time, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. I try to, at least. We started a bit late today. But, and Wednesdays, of course, 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, again, UK time. And of course, videos throughout the week. And of course, if you do like to, well, if you would like to help support the channel, please do hit that like and share button. It's massively helpful for the channel. And I've also, remember, there are links down below to my Patreon page. And of course, there's a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And there is also the Pony Club, where if you join the Pony Club, you get unique emojis that you can use during live streams and even on the channel in my comments. So that's my bit of That's my bit of pushing for the channel. So essentially is, yes, someone's just said it there. There's essentially no way out for the Brexiteers around this. Even if they try to do this, and I hope this turns out to be a bit of kabuki theatre, because I've been saying since the beginning of this year that what really Boris wants to do is at the end of this year, he can turn around, come out and say, look at it, Brexit's been done. We've had a year without the evil EU interfering with us, you know, forcing laws on us or whatever. And then he can say, Brexit's been a massive success, and this is only the first year. And then, next year, he can then go to the EU, or should we say replace Frost with someone else. Although whether we replace Frost or not, who knows, we'll have to see. With someone who actually then is going to meaningfully actually negotiate with the EU and try and solve many of these problems that Brexit has indeed caused. But of course, Boris can't be seen to be doing that because it would essentially mean a massive climb down from all of Britain's positions and accepting a lot of EU regulations and whatnot. So I think that's the plan, and it's backed up by the fact that just a couple of months ago, during the very, very botched Norway discussions, Norway came out and said that the UK government wasn't prepared to talk to the EU again until 2022. So that gives away a lot of what Boris and, you know, the Brexiteers actually want to do. Yeah, you are right, Son of Viking. Frost did help negotiate this deal just a couple of weeks ago. In fact, the week before, Frost got an absolute dressing down in the Northern Ireland Assembly by, I think it was the Deputy Minister from Sinn Féin, basically saying, hey, look, you're saying that there are all these problems, you negotiated it, your fingerprints are all over the deal. So any deal is your fault. So, yeah, I definitely, there is my hope, of course, that this is just a massive piece of kabuki theatre to show that, you know, it's Boris being tough on the EU, and then they can go back and then bit by bit say, well, we'll agree with the EU on this, but we're not part of the EU, even though some of it would almost definitely mean being part of the EU, but in name only. And essentially creating a scenario of Beano, almost. Just essentially trying to be part of the EU, but not officially be part of the EU. And I think that's the situation that the Brexiteers think that they can have. And of course, this is called cakeism, which is, of course, having your cake and eating it. And of course, again, that's not going to work. But any, shall we say, negotiations that happen next year will be a significant climb down by the UK to essentially meet a lot of EU demands. And that will be the case, essentially. Oh. Turn around. There we go. There you go. And there's a little kid there. You can just see him eating. So you can see the little goatee kid there. There we go. Just as the goat walks in the way of it. And of course you got a lamb there as well. There we go. But yeah, if that's what happens, and that's generally the play that happens this year, that the Brexiteers have essentially made the political calculus that they can survive at least a year without having to go to the EU, and then they can point back throughout this year at any time they're negotiating saying, oh, but we were really tough with the EU. Think back to last year, while having huge climb downs, essentially. That could very well be the situation. I hope that's the situation. Because the next thing we're going to talk about, of course, is the pingdemic. Of all things. So for those of you who don't know what the pingdemic is, essentially, there have been, shall we say, the newspapers have started to notice within the past couple of weeks or so, shortages in supermarkets. And their reasoning for this is that the test and trace app has been pinging people and telling them to isolate. Now, here's the thing. The test and trace app has been in place well since last year. And hasn't really caused any problems. It's just now, apparently, this is when it's causing problems. No, it's a double whammy. It's a double whammy of COVID and Brexit on the UK. First of all, we've lost a lot of the Eastern European drivers who come here. Second of all, a lot of the European logistics companies. Oh, so yes, I'll believe the NI situation has changed when they build inspection buildings for the sea border. Yeah, yeah. Like I say, that's another thing with the Northern Ireland situation. There's no infrastructure for it, so that's another thing that's causing huge problems. Again, government's own problem in the making, but there you go. And like we were saying last year, you know, why on earth are we going ahead with Brexit? In fact, I've said before, if I ever had a conversation with Dominic Cummings, I would ask him the situation that you say that Whitehall had been completely overloaded by COVID. And I would ask him, hasn't also Brexit also overloaded Whitehall? And can you point to any situations where both trying to deal with COVID and Brexit has caused this Whitehall collapse in dealing with these situations? Because ultimately, I think that's, like I say, that's what's really caused a lot of our situations here. But in terms of, like, you know, the logistics companies, many of the logistics companies from Europe are coming here into the UK with full loads, but they're going back empty. And that should be ringing alarm bells for a lot of people, because that means that there is less exports going out of this country. But of course, that's not going to be the situation. So we had the Daily Mail, of all people, talking about the pingdemic. And they were so close, so close to actually talking about the problem. Because it's not just the test and trace app, which is pinging people, which is the real reason, as they claim, why there are, like, shortages and empty shelves appearing in supermarkets. As we've said before, we're going to suffer from the ABCs: austerity, Brexit, and COVID. It is going to be a perfect storm, and it's already starting to happen. It's already starting to happen. So this is going to cause huge problems. It's going to cause huge problems to so many of the industries up and down the country. But this is the problem that we get to with this. So and of course, they are going to try and blame anything else but Brexit for this mess. And we're going to have to really find ways to deal with this. But the only way that that happens, in any honesty, is if a government can actually sit down and genuinely say, okay, leaving the EU was a bad idea. Or that we actually need, you know, closer ties with the EU for our trading. There we go. So unless that happens, and I can't see it with this current government, unless, as I've said before, somehow the moderates in a non-parliamentary Conservative Party, means the ones outside that sit outside Westminster, can actually perform their own coup and put back some moderates in, then we ain't got a cat in hell's chance. I mean, you even got Dominic Cummings basically saying, well, those who claim to know everything about Brexit have got a clear screw loose, you know. We don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. Well, hang on a second, Dom. Your entire campaign led with the idea that leaving the EU would be a good idea, and that this was going to be good for the UK. You know? And as I've said before, a lot of the Northerners, you know, when you talk to someone who was like a Leave voter in the North, they are pretty much of the opinion that they voted to leave because it would make their lives better. That is what they felt that they were told, you know, by the Leave campaign and by that Leave government. And of course, the way that the Conservative government are acting in their ways is not going to solve any of the problems that the North is facing with this. In the North, you mean Scotland. Yes, I include Scotland as part of the North. Because Scotland is just facing as many of the same problems that the UK is facing. We've got a housing crisis going on. There's been an incredibly bad lack of paying, you know, any service to infrastructure. And infrastructure plays a massive part, not only in just people's daily lives, but the economy as well. Investing in jobs, you know, the list goes on and on and on. But that's the pace, and many of those people who voted for Leave did so because they thought that voting to leave, as they were told by Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, etc., and of course Dominic Cummings is partly to blame for that, then you know, that anger is already there. You know, I did a video yesterday about how the fact that the people in Hull are so outraged about their train transport, and the fact that you had Chris Grayling, who, bear in mind, a private company had come along and it themselves had gotten so frustrated with the fact that the Hull line had yet to be electrified. We're going to do it themselves and pay for it themselves. So you'd think that our government would be all for that. No, along comes Failing Grayling to declare that no, that's not going to happen, and just completely cut it off and say that, oh, we've got other plans. And since then, nothing. You know, it's truly remarkable, the depths that man goes to just to fail. But there you go. You know, there is a reason why he's called Failing Grayling. And like I say, if I was a Labour MP, every time I would have to say his name, I would call him Failing Grayling. Just to drive the point home. In fact, that was another thing that happened this week, which would be a very, very interesting tactic for Labour to do. One of our Labour MPs, I can't remember her name now, she was asked to leave the House because she accused Boris Johnson of lying. And she was right. She was right. He was lying. And what should have happened then was that every single other Labour MP in the House should have also risen and then also started to show what a liar he was. Yeah, Dawn Foster, that was it. Or Dawn Butler. Dawn Foster or Dawn Butler, I can't remember. I can see her face. I can't remember her name. I'm terrible with names. But yeah, that was the impetus, and that would have been a fantastic win. That would have been a fantastic win for Labour. You know, your entire party gets up, calls Boris Johnson a liar, throws out the evidence saying he lied about this, he lied about that, he is a liar, and just has to leave the House. That would have been a fantastic PR coup for Labour. But anyway, we'll have to see if that follows through in the future. It's definitely something that they could do in the future. But again, we'd have to see. And just as some of the Vikings pointed out, it's about getting to the public. And I think one of the things that Labour needs to recognise, and I hope that this is the case, that they are recognising that, because there does seem to be some movement towards that, is that while very often people like to talk about the Labour crisis, in its former seats, and oh no, Labour's failing at a national level, oh no, what are we going to do? In many areas where, quote, Labour is supposedly failing, not only did they retain their seats at a local level, we even won new metropolitan seats as well. Like I say, out of the, I think, 6 new metropolitan mayorships that have started, Labour owns 5 and the Conservatives just own 1. And you've only got to look at places like Preston in Lancashire, that have taken the view of being very localization. And I think there's a book that I definitely want to read, and I definitely encourage other people in the UK to read it, by the people behind that move in Preston, called Paint Your Town Red. Is a fantastic move, would be a fantastic move by the National Party of Labour to turn around and just say, look how well Preston is doing as a town, look how successful Labour is in running your town, we're going to roll this out nationally. And it would be a fantastic way, and this wave set of new policies. And I hope that is what happens. I hope they take that to heart. Because if they do engage in that localization, it could be very well successful for them. Because if Labour isn't, quote, winning nationally, then why do locally they have all these successes? And unfortunately, one of the things they do is that they're very, very bad about shouting out about that. And I think it's, tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a video all about Preston and its success in turning that town around and what they did to do that. So look out for that video, because again, I think it will be a fantastic way for something to talk and shout about, because a lot of the energy that Corbyn managed to generate not only went into, the national campaign, but it really reached into a local campaign. And that energy is still there in many, many local campaigns. So Labour has to take that energy and not only push it at these local levels, it then has to turn around and get that energy to a national level. Because if they can do that, then they are going to win big. Because the current Conservative strategy of essentially appealing to old people and, quote, getting Brexit done, well, the next general election, if Boris Johnson is still crowing on about getting Brexit done, then what exactly was his last 5 years about? So even if they do deploy some form of that strategy, it's not going to work out for them. And if they still want to appeal to older voters, well, that's also not going to work in their favour. So, while time is indeed on Labour's side, they need to really push some proper progressive policies. Because we've said this before, a lot of Corbyn's policies, from housing, economics, were very popular with people. The problem is, when they got associated, or when you said to that person, as they did in, focus groups, that these were Corbyn policies, all of a sudden they'd, oh, don't like that. But hold on, you liked it a few moments ago before that. So what's going on? So again, that's more of a Corbyn versus the national press type dynamic. So hang on. So as always, we're at the end of our good morning. There we go. So at the end of our good morning walk today, and as always, thank you everyone for joining me today. It's been an absolutely cracking good morning walk as always. Like I say, we do live streams every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and Wednesday at 7 p.m. UK time. I've also got videos coming out as well during that time. So please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button. Every bit helps the channel to grow and progress. And of course, down below, if you would like to support the channel in a different way, there are links down below to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And of course, YouTube memberships are now open where you can join the Pony Club. So, as always, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you all next time. Have an absolutely super smashing great weekend. And of course, if you can't be safe, be sensible. And of course, if you do go out there, especially if you are in the UK, please do think about continuing to wear your mask, and of course maintaining and thinking about social distancing while you are out there, because the virus is very much still out there, despite how much the government likes to say that it's not. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next Saturday for another Good Morning Walk. Whoop. Yeah.